Good morning. It is day one. It is just after 7 o'clock and my life as a professional golfer has just begun.
What were you thinking on day one?
Super excited, couldn't wait to start and had very, very high hopes.
What were you thinking on day one?
I thought he was a bit of a lunatic, to be straight.
What were your genuine goals and expectations coming into it?
I want to be able to break 80 and I wanted to be a single figures handicap.
Did you think a month was long enough?
I definitely didn't think a month was long enough.
Do you still think that now?
This is Tiger Woods, the greatest golfer of all time, and I am dedicating my life to golf, living as he did for 1 month to see just how much I can improve in those 28 days. But before I start living the life of Prime Tiger, we need a baseline. So I started this month as a 16.1 handicap and set out to put in the best score I possibly could on camera on a very windy early summer afternoon. Erratic is probably the best way you can describe my golf at this point. Roller coaster golf is what I was playing. We could hit some nice drives, some great chips,
Go on, ball.
and even get up and down after a very nervy putt. But we could also have a 10-yard chip and blade it 40 yards through the back of the green. So it wasn't great, and we ended up shooting a 19 over 91, which was pretty spot on, to be honest with you, for my handicap once you accounted for the slope index of the course. And I'll be honest, I was actually reasonably pleased with it. I've only been playing golf for 2.5 years with a big 9-month break in the middle because of injury. So I thought I'd taken to golf pretty well. I was reasonably proud of how quickly I picked it up, and I was very excited to see what I could do with 1 month of dedicated training. So this is Neil, and he wanted to start on day one with putting.
Why putting first?
Why putting first? Because it's the most important part of the game, and if you can't do that, you can't play golf. And his putting was poo, so it needed fixing instantly. We're going to be doing 18-hole medal putting round.
Okay.
We're going to go all the way around the putting range twice.
Yeah.
And it's going to be difficult.
Yeah.
Because the greens are fast.
Yeah.
And it's windy.
Yeah.
And I ain't helping you.
Okay.
So whenever you're ready, off you go.
So we kicked it off with Neil putting me through my paces to get an idea of where my putting was at.
I ain't giving you that one. Slammed it in.
Knock it in.
Yeah, jammy sod.
I'm probably more due to luck than skill.
Oh my God. Fantastic. Don't ask me how he's doing it.
I managed to do it in 1 over, 37 putts. And I personally thought that was pretty good, but Neil had other ideas.
What was he doing wrong?
Everything.
My setup was all over the place.
Every time you're setting up to your putter,
Yep.
your eyes are inside the ball.
Okay.
So you're not actually aiming where you need to be aiming. When you set up to the ball, I want your eyes directly over the ball. So when you drop it from the bridge of your nose, it hits the ball.
I was very stiff.
You don't see good players. Tommy Fleetwood does the same method of putting as you, but you don't see good players with the tension in your arms that you've got.
My tempo was terrible.
Look at the tempo of the 3 strokes. The tempo is the same on it. Wasn't even aiming at it.
My path was stare and soup.
Your putter's sort of going like this.
The old Will Zalatoris.
And that was just the start of it. So I got some initial tips from Neil and stayed for about 90 minutes afterwards, practicing on the putting green. Went home that evening and did even more practice. And then woke up the next day and my back was in bits. Putting lesson, driving range, more putting at home, yoga in the night. Doesn't even sound like that much, but I've spent about 5 hours like this, practicing my putting, and my lower back is in bits. 27 days to go. Well, there's no rest days on day number 2, and it's a good job because lesson number 2 proved to be pivotal. Neil changed my putting grip.
Why did you change his claw grip?
Because it was pointless.
Why were you doing claw?
don't really know. Well, I do know, but it probably wasn't a very good idea. I was watching the telly and seeing Tommy Fleetwood and Victor Hovland doing it. Next time I went to play, I had a go, and my putting couldn't really get any worse, so it felt better. I don't know. I shouldn't have been doing it, really.
You'd think such a major change would initially cause a setback, but it immediately helped. It felt so much more controlled, and my putting couldn't get any worse, to be honest with you. We cracked on with some more drills, using gates to aid with me doing the correct path, but today focusing on stability in the lower body and tempo. And these three things were synonymous with every putting lesson that we did throughout this month. Reading the greens aside and me getting a feel for how hard I need to hit a putt, improving my putting was those three things: correct setup, tempo, and path. And from then on, it was just practice, 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 practice. At home, on the putting green, and on the course with Neil, whilst doing other lessons. And 2.5 weeks later, on day 18, Neil decided it was time I tried the medal again. And the difference in my putting stroke is insane. Frustratingly, I actually ended up getting the same score, but the way that I did so was so much better. So I stayed positive and focused on the process rather than the results, because it actually felt replicable and like I could get that score every single go. And a lot of the time probably score better with a little bit of luck. Whereas the first time I did it, I held some really lucky long putts and couldn't have repeated that score again if I tried. If you gave me more goes, I would have got +6, +7, +8. Whereas this time, give me a few more goes and I'd probably break par. That was with a week to go, and practice most days has continued, and I can honestly say I am feeling so much better and so much more confident in my putting.
Where would you have ranked it at the start?
Dead last.
2 or 3 out of 10. Ball did get in the hole eventually.
What about now?
Probably still near the bottom, but that's just because other stuff's improved too.
I would give your putting 7 out of 10.
We worked on everything simultaneously, but we obviously couldn't start with a lesson on literally everything on day number 1. So day 3 was the first time that we did a chip and lesson. I think mentally, this part of the game was probably the hardest for me. And at the time, I actually thought I was quite good at chipping, but I'll let you guys be the judge of that as Neil puts me through a little test.
Today, Andy is going to use the 6-ball game. It's a game devised by Bob Rotella for Graham McDowell, who credited for his US Open win. He has 6 chip shots, an easy, a medium, and a hard, and he has 1 chance, 1 day. That's it. Uh-oh.
The 2 easy shots were out of a little bit of rough. No danger, bump it onto the green, roll it up next to the flag, about as easy as a chip shot could possibly be. The 2 medium shots were out of a bunker, and I remember at the time thinking, how is this the medium one? This is ridiculously hard. You've put me in a bunker. And then he showed me the hard one, which was over the bunker, off a tight lie. To be honest though, considering the quality of my chipping, I don't think I did too bad.
Andy's total today is 69 feet. Good start.
But when it then come to improving, I really struggled.
Why did you struggle so much?
I feel like putting is one very short rhythmic stroke that's the same thing repeated each time. Long game is so big and so much happening that you don't even really have time to think about what's going on. And then short game's in this really weird part in the middle where it is rhythmic, and everything about golf's rhythmic, but it's just about long enough to react. And because it's such a short movement, me going, ugh, and trying to hit it just completely threw everything off. And it was that reacting to the ball when I needed to just relax.
Did you improve in the end?
Yeah, eventually.
So what was I doing wrong? The main one is flipping my wrists. So I needed to work on not releasing the club for a chip shot. The Dan Grieve release one, if you will.
Every shot you play,
That way? Okay.
there's no release.
Sure.
And to my credit, I actually picked it up pretty quickly and could do it straight away.
So it's here, here.
That's it.
Okay.
That's good.
It's just a shame we didn't see it.
That was a nice strike. Did you feel it?
Yeah, okay. So
Now
it's
that,
here rather
that
than...
on a green has 1 bounce and stops
stops.
dead.
Okay.
That
Shame
was
the
proper
camera
shot.
didn't see it, wasn't it?
However, that becoming my normal feel and not sinking back into old habits and reacting to the ball took a lot of grinding. But we're getting there, and we even got a shout out from the main man himself. Whilst that grinding went on, not to just limit myself to one type of shot, We also implemented the bump and run.
I hated the bump and run.
Why?
It just seemed like the easy way out. And I was so bad at it that it wasn't actually making my shots and the results any better. So I just thought, what's the point?
Andy's challenge today is playing 3 more chip shots. The total distance from the hole has got to be less than 15 feet. Here's his first chip. Okay, good pace. Maybe about 7 foot right to pin. Good strike again. He's hit it a little bit hard. Maybe 6 feet past the pin. So this one's got to be inside 3 feet. And it's not bad, but I think it ain't 16 feet. Must try harder next time, sir.
So yeah, not, and still to this day, probably not the biggest fan of a bump and run, but I stuck with it, powered through the practice, and got reasonably good at it, to be honest with you, and have added an extra shot to my repertoire. If there is one thing that I've taken from these short game lessons that I would pass on to you guys, it's all well and good grinding the technique, but there's no point having perfect technique if it perfectly goes 10 yards too far. So whenever I was out on the course, I would always get a few balls, drop them at the edge of the green and practice chipping to really develop a feel for distance control. Because perfect technique is great, but it's useless if you can't control the distance. So combining them two things, the technique practice and the field practice, that is what we did. Practice, 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 practice. And like I said, whilst this short game practice was going on, we were also practicing everything else as well as doing Tiger's fitness schedule.
Tiger Woods changed the game of golf completely, and completely the attitude towards fitness. There wasn't an attitude to fitness before Tiger Woods.
Tiger Woods reportedly ran 30 miles a week, but I'm trying to beat Tiger Woods. I'm not already him. My base fitness level is not what Tiger's is. So I guess I could go out and do a 5-mile run, but probably wouldn't be able to walk for about 4 days afterwards. So I still did the cardio fitness that Tiger did every morning, but I did a spin class on my Peloton and did start to incorporate some running as well once my fitness got up there and I could do it without feeling like death, but mostly Peloton classes.
Do you think fitness has a big impact on your game?
Oh, huge. There's no point practicing if you fall off a cliff after 12 holes. Even now, being a lot more fitter than when I started, I still fatigue. And when you fatigue, that's when all of the bad habits creep back in.
Another often very overlooked part of golf fitness is flexibility. And I, at the behest of Tiger, put a lot of emphasis on this during my training program.
Strength does help, but mobility comes with it.
I've been doing yoga on and off for a couple of years anyway, because it really helps my back with sitting in a desk chair all day. But wow, does it help your golf game. There is so much more depth in your swing. You can get into positions that you wouldn't have even thought possible beforehand. And it really helps with your mental calmness as well. It's translatable to when you're out onto the course, those breathing techniques, and also just helps you calm down and settle down. Make sure you get a good night's sleep and a good recovery, because recovery is incredibly important for fitness as well.
People think, and I used to think as well, that yoga's this hippy-dippy namaste sort of thing. And I guess it can be if you go to like a hippy-dippy ladies class. But what I do on the Peloton is purely focused on strength, flexibility, and controlled breathing.
The final piece of the Tiger fitness puzzle is strength workouts. And this is where I've got to come clean and say that I couldn't quite live up to the standards of Tiger Woods. Going from 1 round a week and maybe the odd driving range session to 4 lessons, hundreds of balls on the driving range, hours of putting practice, endless amounts of chipping sessions, as well as playing 2 or 3 practice rounds. I was a broken mess. The coaching, the practice, the diet, the cardio, all of that as close as I could possibly get to a professional golfer, but the strength workouts were nowhere near. Golf's often kind of laughed at by people who don't play the sport as being an activity. It's something you can do when you're old. It's put in the same basket as snooker and darts and not a real sport. And doing this really put into perspective for me just how good of an athlete professional golfers are. 4 rounds back to back to back to back if you make the cut. strength workouts in between, mobility workouts in between, hitting hundreds of balls between round 2 and 3 to work on what wasn't working on the Friday to do it better on the Saturday. It is crazy how fit these guys are. And that's not even accounting for the fact that their drives carry 300 and their 9-iron goes as far as your 7 or 6-iron. It's absolutely mental, to be honest with you.
While this whole thing has been focused on golf, has it actually had any positive impact on your life?
Yeah, massively. Let me get the stats up and I'll show you. Okay, so I started at 89.5 kilos in weight and I am now today 83.8. So I've lost almost 6 kilos. My waist was 37 inches. It's now down to 34 and I have to wear my golf trousers and shorts with a belt because that's down 3 inches. It's been so good, to be honest with you, both from a mental health and physical health perspective. Like golf's great for just getting out for a walk, enjoying some nature and getting some steps and calories and stuff like that in. And then taking it really serious and really focused on it has had a massive, massive impact on my just general overall well-being. So go play golf, everybody. It's great.
Okay, the big one. Long game. Drive for show, putt for dough, is the old saying. And I feel like Scotty Scheffler is kind of bucked that trend and shown that in the professional game at least, it's drive for dough, approach for dough, putt just to finish off the hole. And I feel like this is kind of true for amateur golf as well, at least when you're not already in the 70s and single figures handicap. When you're shooting in the 90s and 100s, yes, you need to improve everything. We've already seen my chipping and putting. But if you want to go from shooting in the 100s or the 90s to shooting in the 80s, primarily what you need to do is just keep the ball in play off the tee and hit it somewhere near the green in regulation.
Was it true for you?
I mean, you've seen my chipping and my putting. So there was loads of shots to be gained there. And they were probably the easiest to gain, which is why we did that first. But I could probably save the same amount of shots just from not losing balls, 3 off the tee or going out of bounds on approach shots. And that's not even factoring in more green in regulations and closer pin proximity.
Would you agree?
I would agree.
So, what was causing my erratic long game? Day 5 was the first day that we properly focused on long game. And whilst I've had some lessons from Neil in the past, we started off from the beginning. He got me hitting some shots with every type of club, filmed them, and showed me the damage.
That's the problem.
And there's the effect. There's the club head outside the ball on the way down. That guy is going to slice it. He's going to pull it. He's going to sit straight left. He's going to sit left and even more left, which is disastrous. But most of the time, he's going to sit left and it's going to cut back to the right. But look how far the hips and the head have gone forward.
Just for context as well, here's a sneak peek of what this should look like. Notice how I've not fallen towards the ball, causing me to go massively over the top and out to win. But that's for the future though. It took a lot of lessons to get there. We addressed a few different things that were combining to cause the issue. The first was locking my right knee.
Okay.
And there's none of that, is there?
So to fix it, we had Neil holding onto the back of my knee whilst I was doing a swing. Then we had him sticking a club into the back of my knee so that I couldn't press it backwards. Putting a club in front of my head whilst I'm trying to do the shot. Anything to teach me to keep that knee flexed and not lean forwards. But like I said, there's a lot of different things causing this. Some of it was the knee flex. And once I started to get the hang of that, this is where we then started working on a deeper hip turn. We did some drills to address the angle of my shoulders, not coming too steep and coming around and deep with my hips, and then use Neil's patented chair drill to try and get me to turn instead of sway. We didn't know, as you guys may have thought when you clicked on this video, have a lesson on a long game every single day. It's not what the pros do. There's a lot of solo practice time. A lot of me drilling this stuff over and over and over on the driving range between lessons, doing the drills that Neil would give me. As you practice though, as you guys can see here on day 20, you always have to come back to your fundamentals. I don't know why it is, but silly things always creep in, whether it's your hands moving, whether it's your grip changing, whether it's the ball position changing. I don't know where it comes from, but you've got to constantly keep checking back in and making sure you're always doing the fundamentals right. Grip, hand position, ball position, the lot. It seems like such a simple thing that we all think we can do, but you've always got to keep checking back in. Even the pros use alignment sticks on the floor when they're getting ready for a round. It was back to regular practice then until day 25, where we went out and did some talk about course management. This is something I wasn't great at, and Neil really wanted to drill into me playing the safe shot, not the hero shot. You can't hit the green on a par 5, so why are you trying to play a full swing 52 just to advance it 100 yards down the fairway?
So you're not trying to hit it miles, you're just trying to chip it down there. You know, anything over 100 yards is good. There you go, that's fine. But isn't that so much stress, less stress than standing there, go on, do it again with that one. Than standing there and saying, right, I'm going to make a full-blooded swing
trying to cream a 52.
With me 52. And, you know, bad things happen then.
Another interesting thing I learned on this lesson is how the rough affects your ball. I was already aware that being in the rough in the first cut means you can't put as much spin on the ball. I didn't know that being in the really long stuff, when you don't accelerate through the ball, the club will get caught up in the long grass, the heads will turn over, and your shot will go very left. And whilst we were doing all of this stuff, we came across the next flaw in my game. And this is something why I personally love golf. Yes, we all love golf because we can sometimes hit a shot like a pro, cream that perfect 7-iron that has a baby draw and goes 175 and lands right next to the flag, and that's the thing that brings us back every single time, isn't it? But me personally, one of the things I really like is there's always something new to learn. And we discovered that I had absolutely no idea how to control the flight of a ball.
Can you hit this shot low, or does it have to go high?
Can I flight my 50? Can't flight
Can you
it.
make it go like that?
Not really, no.
Yeah, all right, we need to learn how to do that.
Neil has actually brought this up all the way back at the start of our long game practice on day 10.
So it's the middle of my stance, aiming left, weight if anything, I carried it forward, hands and arms here.
But it's not something I practiced. I was too busy working on my full swing. Spoilers though, I'm narrating this video in the future. We've had to edit it all down, and here I am, talking to you guys, and that's something that I'm working on now. So you'll see in my next video, which is where I try to break 80, I'm trying to do them shots. We're trying to play some punch shots. I'm not very good at that. I've only just started to learn how to do it, but that is what I'm currently working on, as well as my setup and not leaning towards the ball and transferring my weight properly and using the ground force and doing a deep hip turn and not, you know what golf's like, but that is the thing that I'm currently practicing and trying to learn nice low flighted balls, especially playing golf where I do on the coast of England. It's always windy and you need to be able to keep the ball underneath the wind. So stay tuned for that. Hopefully you can master it. And there's a couple of attempts in the video next week, which you guys will be able to see, trying to break 80. But even in the 4 weeks of just working on my main full swing, I feel like we've made quite significant progress. So let's take a look at a side-by-side of my first ever swing in the training footage compared to one from the exact same angle, basically, all the way down at the end. I think the difference is pretty good.
If you could give people one tip that you've learned, what would it be?
I think I'd tell them that the biggest thing that's helped me improve throughout this whole video isn't long game drills, putting practice, or chipping. It's flexibility, mobility, do yoga.
So then, the question is, can I put it all together? And what would be a good test to see? I decided I wanted to go out and film a full round and see if I could break 80. But that is next week's video. So make sure you subscribe so you do not miss that one. We need a test right here, right now, that isn't gonna add 45 minutes to the end of this video from you guys watching a full round. So, after some deliberation, I decided I was gonna enter my first competition in months. Have never even come close to winning one. Can I do it under pressure? Can I do it with my £4.50 entry fee on the line? And can I do it off the white competition tees instead of the usual yellow ones that I play? Here we are then. Good morning. It is just before 8 o'clock. I'm just in the car park. I've just got to the course and we are playing our first competition. I can't take you guys out with me. I can't take a camera around with me like I will be for other videos because I'm playing with like 3 random people. It's a club comp. It's a Saturday morning. It's not really the done thing, but I'll try and update you guys as we go around the round. And fingers crossed after all this training, we can bag ourselves a win. Let's go to it. We've just come off the 3rd hole. I've just teed off on the 4th and I'm under par for the first time in my life. Let's see if we can keep this going. Okay, we've just finished the front 9, waiting on the 10th hole. Classic Saturday morning competition golf. It is very, very slow. But I'm playing pretty good, to be honest with you. Started insane, fell off a little bit, we can get it back and we can play well on the back nine, we've got a very, very good chance of winning because my playing handicap today is 20. All right, welcome back. I'm just walking down the 14th. We've just drove down the middle. It's going good. We're level par through the first 4 on the back nine. 1 bogey, 2 pars and a birdie. The 15th is a nightmare. But if you can get through that with a bogey, maybe a double, and then just bring it home down the last 3. I don't want to get too carried away, but I'm pretty sure we're going to win. Right, I'm back home. In my excitement to enter my score, I completely forgot to do a little vlog and tell you guys what happened. You can't see the results of the competition until 4 p.m. anyway, so I can see them now. It's now the evening of the comp. And I'm very pleased to announce that we shot 82 off the white tees, off the competition tees, which means with a playing handicap of 20, we've got net 10 under and we've won our first comp. The training has paid off and the doggies are very excited. What a journey it's been. Come on, the golf.
Was 4 weeks long enough? Did you break 80? Are you single figures?
Whether I broke 80 is the next video, so you'll have to wait and stay tuned for that. So make sure you guys subscribe that are watching. Am I single figures handicap? Not yet, but there's a big caveat. That round of 82 was a 5.9 score differential, so the equivalent of 5.9 handicap golf, but I haven't put enough cards in to bring the average down. That one round alone dropped me from 16.1 to 12.7, so 3.4 shots off. I now need to go and continue to play single figures level golf, put more competition scorecards in, and the road to scratch is on.
Is scratch a realistic goal?
That is an incredibly difficult goal that will require a lot longer than 4 weeks.
But
It's possible. With your power, it's possible. But oodles and oodles of hard work. I've been impressed with his application, I've been impressed with his practice, not impressed with his ability to try and lash everything, but he's done pretty good. That's effusive for me, by the way.
And when Neil says that, you know it's true. That is the nicest thing you've ever said.
True.